Listen to my wife, Tamara. If it was not for her saying yes to this, we would not be in this. That's why I said she's the smarter of the two. I understand how it works. But at the time of being introduced to this, it was 6 years ago, and I was an assistant principal. I was an athletics director. I was a head boys basketball coach. The head boys and girls junior high and high school golf coach. How many sports is that? I'm talking about teaching duty.
4.
5. So boys and girls, man, I tell you what, my math ain't so bad. I coached 5 sports. My wife Tamara was a special education teacher at the same school. She was the assistant girls basketball coach and the head junior high and high school softball coach. How many sports? How many teams? 3. How many sports combined or teams combined? 8. We had 0 time. We had 0 money. I wanted nothing to do with this, but a good friend of mine, Robbie Davis, he's a diamond elite with the company. We grew a relationship because we love Kentucky basketball, just like everybody in the room, right? Right there. Love the Wildcats. And actually, he had 2 kids that were in middle school at the time. And they were pretty good at basketball. In my school that I coached at and their schools, we were 10 minutes apart. So I always told Robbie, I said, listen, if you want your kids to win a championship when they get to high school, you better bring them over and let them play for me. So we grew a relationship by me kind of illegally recruiting his kids to my high school. But I had heard, how many of you are from a small town? Florida's got a lot of small towns like Kentucky does, Tennessee does. In a small town, you know what everybody's doing before they do it. And if you don't know what they're doing, you're going to make up something just to have something to talk about. Right?
That's right.
But I had heard Robbie Davis has gotten involved in this snake oil company. And I knew Robbie was going to hit me with it. I just did not know when. So we were talking one day, and I was trying to talk him into advertising his real estate company on our gym wall. I said, Robbie, we're a thriving metropolis in Byrdstown, Tennessee. We had 185 kids in grades 9 through 12 and the only school in the county. That's how thriving we were. I said, Robbie, you've got to advertise your real estate company on our gym wall. He said, Greg, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get a sign on your gym wall if you take a look at this little business I started. Insert the wah, wah. There it was, right? Didn't want anything to do with it, but I was in a predicament because I still wanted his fundraising check. So I said, great, Robbie, I'll take a look. Give me your check. I was going to look just enough to tell him no. And that's when it was written all over my face because he goes directly to my beautiful wife, Tamara, of 20 years. And he says to Tamara, weight loss. Tamara says, how do I get it and when can I start? Because that's the only thing I've ever known about women. The only thing I will ever know is it does not matter what they weigh, they want to lose weight, right? So she starts using a product while I start researching, trying to find a reason why we should not do this. And I was waiting for that magical moment that every husband waits for, Justin, to say that phrase we never get to say, is I told you so. And she loses 12 pounds in 2 weeks. Most important thing with her is, she had a ruptured disc operated on about 20 years ago, just before we got married. That operation took her pain from bad to worse. Some days couldn't get out of bed because of it. I used to have to help her out of the bed, lay her in the floor so she'd have a firm surface to lay on and get some kind of relief. Now, no more back pain. Wow. Can you imagine going through every single day at the age of 38 or 39 and being in so much pain that you barely can make it through your day if you're able to get out of bed at all? So do you imagine what it did for her? So also what it did for me. It turned her into the lady that I married 20 years ago. It changed her life. She was vibrant again. She was loving life again. So she was my guinea pig. She took the product. She didn't grow a third arm or a third leg, so I took the product myself. I had terrible joint pain from playing basketball all my life. High school, college, short stint in Indonesia. The everyday average wear and tear just terrible on my joint pain. Knees, ankles, now that's completely gone. I lost 25 pounds. My wife lost 31. Saw the product work. Worked the business just to pay for our product because I have 2 kids that played sports at the time too. So Jody said I had 2 20-something 5-year-old kids. My stepson Kobe is 25. He's an engineer, not the one that drives a train, the one that works in the factory, right? But that's my daughter. She's 17, so Jody, stop trying to speed that process up. But we worked the business because I wanted my kids on this product. And being a 2-teacher income household, we never would have been able to pay for the product for our whole family. But then we caught a vision for what this could be. I think we were enrolled in October of 2009. How many of you have been in the business more than 4 months right now? How many of you have rank advanced in 4 months? You rank advanced in 4 months. It took me 4 months to get to Builder 500 in February of 2010. We got our biggest check with Zija, which absolutely jacked me out of my mind. $353.84 for the week. I'm telling you, for a 2-teacher income household, I said we could pay our bills and I could take my wife to have a Big Mac. I was jacked out of my mind. So we saw what was possible. That made that light bulb light up over our head. Went on a dead run from there. 20 months into this, my wife and I both walked away from our teaching and coaching jobs, which has been a blessing. I can say it, I don't know if she can, but I get to work with my best friend every single day, and my wife. We get to wake up, like Brandon says, when our eyes open. Not this morning, but when our eyes open, not to that electronic rooster, right? And now we made about $1.5 million with this in 6 years. So can this improve your quality of life? Absolutely. I was talking to a gentleman on the front row just a few minutes ago. He said, well, why do you do this? You're a black diamond. You make a good income. Why do you continue to do this? Because I'm telling you right now, if you have something and you know it can improve people's quality of life, if you don't share, what does that make you? It makes you selfish. Now, it makes some people mad when I say it. So be it. Find another word for it. We're put on this earth to see how many people we can bless from the time we're born until the time we go in the hole and we meet our Maker, right? Amen. That's the challenge. So if you have something that can improve people's quality of life in multiple ways, which is exactly what we have, share it. Open your mouth. Be a blessing. That's all this is about. And this can change your life like crazy. The problem is most people just look at their circumstances. They think they are a product of their circumstances. Their circumstances is what created them. No, you create your own circumstances. You don't have to stay in that same situation all the time, because we have to have goals. We have to keep moving forward. It doesn't matter how many times we reach them. A good story, Anthony comes to mind, because one of his goals coming out of high school, have you ever met those people in high school that just know exactly what they want to do? That was Anthony. He knew he wanted to be a pilot. He knew he wanted to be an astronaut. One goal he fell short of was being an astronaut. Just short of. We talked about that about a month ago, didn't we? And you think about the first Apollo mission that went to the moon. They go to the moon, and then they come back, and then they suffer from, the astronauts that were there suffered from all kinds of mental disorders. Why? Because their whole life had been about going to the moon. So you've gone to the moon, now what? Because every time they got out of bed every single morning was to get themselves prepared to go to the moon. So the other astronauts learned from that came after them. Every time they went to the moon, they came back, they had huge projects waiting on them, right? So it's about reaching one goal, setting another, and going to work on that next one. It's not about staying still. If you're not growing, just like he said, you're dying. But I do know what you see, what you focus on grows. And if you focus on problems, you're going to get more problems. You focus on opportunities, you're going to get more opportunities. You focus on objections, or you focus on obstacles. The only time you do that is when you take your eyes off your goals. So keep your eyes affixed to where you need to go. So I'm going to start off today, because like I said, what you focus on grows, and whatever you're looking at, you're moving towards. You know, if I tell a story of going into the mall at Christmas, you look in all the shop windows, you have all the lights, You have all the pretty decorations, and I have what I call ADOS. And that's called Attention Deficit O'Shiny, right? So I'm walking down the mall, and I see these decorations, and I start looking at them. I start fixating on them. What happens? I start moving in that direction until I bump into somebody, and they say, hey, watch where you're going. Well, I am. I'm moving where I'm looking, right? So we're going to talk about what you focus on. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions. And if you have a piece of paper, write these answers down. And we're not going to stay too long on them. We're going to ask them, answer them, or keep them in your mind. And then we'll go back over them here in just a second, okay? First question is, Johnny's mother had 3 children. The first child was named April. The second was named May. What was the third child's name? Write it down. Don't answer. Number 2, a clerk at a butcher shop stands 5 feet 10 inches tall and wears size 13 sneakers. What does he weigh? Write it down. Number 3, before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? Number 4, how much dirt is there in a hole that measures 2 feet by 3 feet by 4 feet? That's number 4. Number 5, what word in the English language is always spelled incorrectly? Number 6, Billy was born on December 28th, yet her birthday always falls in the summer. How is this possible? Number 7, in British Columbia, you cannot take a picture of a man with a wooden leg. Why not? Number 8, if you're running a race and you pass the person in second place, what place would you be in now? Number 9, which is correct to say, the yolk of the egg is white or the yolk of the egg are white? And number 10, a farmer has 5 haystacks in one field and 4 haystacks in another. How many haystacks would you have if you combine them into one field? Okay, everybody got those? Got your answers? And writer's cramp, right? Let's go over them real quick. Johnny's mother had 3 children. The first child was named April. The second child was named May. What was the third child's name?
Johnny.
Johnny, exactly. Most people think June. Number 2, a clerk at a butcher shop weighs 5 feet 10 inches tall and wears a size 13 sneakers. What does he weigh? A butcher weighs meat. Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? It was Mount Everest. It just wasn't discovered yet. Number 4, how much dirt is there in a hole that measures 2 feet by 3 feet by 4 feet? There's no dirt in a hole. Number 5, what word in the English language is always spelled incorrectly? Incorrectly. Except when it's spelled incorrectly. Number 6, Billy was born on December 28th, yet her birthday always falls in the summer. How is this possible?
Australia.
Billy lives in the southern hemisphere. In British, this is my favorite one. In British Columbia, you cannot take a picture of a man with a wooden leg. Why not? You need a camera. You can't take a picture with a wooden leg. If you're running a race and you pass a person in second place, what place would you be in now? Second. Which is correct to say, the yolk of the egg is white or the yolk of the egg are white? Yolk is yellow.
Orange.
A farmer has 5 haystacks in one field and 4 haystacks in another. How many haystacks would he have if you combine them all in that one field? 1. If you combine them all into one, you have 1 haystack, right? Now, why did I do this? A little bit fun, make you think a little bit, but also it shows you what you focus on, right? Because the way you answered that first question, Johnny's mother had 3 children. The first one was named April, the second was named May, the third was named what? Depends on what part of the question that you focused on. Depending on your answer, correct? And that's the same thing. Whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of in your life. So if you focus on problems, you're going to get more problems. You focus on more negativity, you're going to get more negativity. How many people know that every time you talk to someone, how many of you know those people, every time they have something wrong? And isn't it amazing how much they want to tell you about it? Misery loves, ain't that the flipping truth. My goodness, that drives me crazy. Look up. Stop looking down. Stop focusing on your problems. Start being grateful for what you have. All of us have something special. You know, we all think that there's a lot of poverty in the U.S. There is no poverty in the U.S. What was it in Bangladesh? I was listening to Jim Rohn. What's their average salary, Brandon? Less than $100 a year?
Yep.
And we're complaining about poverty? We don't know what poverty is. When I was in Indonesia, I saw poverty. I saw those people on the road, on the street. Didn't know if they were going to eat. Have an attitude of gratitude. Now, I'll go off like crazy all day. Y'all just kind of smack me back on track, okay? Because like I said, you focus on problems, you're going to get more problems. Whatever you focus on grows, but you focus on opportunities, they are going to grow. They are really going to multiply for you. So, getting into training today, how you build this business. First, we need a mindset. First, you have to find your why. Like I said, even in this business, the great thing about this business is you get to deal with people every single day, right? The tough thing about this business is you have to deal with people every single day, right? Everybody has different personalities. Everybody focuses on different things. So you learn a lot about people the more time you spend around them. If they're a whiner, are you a whiner or are you a winner? You see that whiner in people really quick. This is a tough business. It's not one that you're going to be able to get into and you're going to just float through the ranks. Everybody sees Jody moving up in rank, but what you don't see is a work that she's putting in right now. Some people think it is just going to happen for me. It's not just going to happen for you. You look at what she does on a daily basis, every single minute of every hour of every day. That's pouring into it. But most people just want to talk to one or two people and then they want to look like this kid. Just whine and cry, right? Go over into a corner. I talked to my mama. She said no. I talked to my cousin. He said I was stupid. I talked to my best friend. He said, you ain't never going to make any money. Okay, I'm going to go in the corner and suck my thumb, right? That's what a lot of people do. It's sad. But what you have to do is you have to know what you're fighting for. You have to have your why. Your why has to be so big, it makes you cry. It's not about shrinking, run away from, turning your back on any problems. It's about growing yourself bigger than any problems. And we took that picture of Brandon this morning. So find your why. I use the illustration all the time because I think it tells a story. Hello. I think it tells a story better than anything else. Heard it from Mike Sims. Finding your why. It's like this. If we had that balance beam sitting on the floor, I'm standing on one end, Brandon Hayes is standing on the other end. He's holding up a $10 bill. How many of you would walk across that balance beam if it's sitting a foot off the floor for that $10 bill? How many of you would do it? Of course you would, right? Everybody would. Now let's go to Chicago. How many of you have been to Chicago? That's a lot of wind. They got good people.
Yeah,
That's a lot of wind. That is a lot of wind. Now let's take that balance beam 20 stories high. Two buildings that are 10 feet apart. The balance beam is 15 feet long. You got 10 feet or say 20 feet. You got to walk 20 feet on that balance beam from the top of the roof to the top of the roof. Brandon Hayes is standing on the other roof. He's holding up $10. How many of you would do it now? Okay, you guys are nuts.
Well, only
$10 is $10. Yeah, you can't spend it dead. So now, I tell you what, those that did raise your hand or didn't raise your hand right then. Brandon's holding up $100. How many of you will walk across him? I wouldn't do it. Absolutely not. I'm scared. I'm not scared to death of heights. I'm scared of heights. So I'm not going to do it. So now, those of you who didn't answer your question, I'm seriously thinking about getting a balance beam from one top to the other and making you guys at school. But those who didn't raise your hand, your kids are on another roof. Okay, that's cool. Now, that's awesome, but if you're me, Justin, I'm telling Colby and Carlson, you guys sit down. I'm going down the step and I'll be But now think about the bottom floors of that building that your kids are on fire. Now it's not something that, it'd be cool to do. It'd be neat to do. No, it's something I absolutely have to do. It's something that you have to do so much that you don't even notice cars going down 20 stories below you. You don't notice the wind. All you're focused on is getting to your kids, getting to your loved ones, right? That's all you're focused on. So what difference does it make of what's going on around you? The obstacles that you have to overcome, it does not matter because it's that strong that it has to be done. That's what your why has to be in this business. You have to dig deep. I'm going to tell you what mine was early on. My why changes all the time. As you move up in the business, yours is going to change. My daughter, 8, 9 years old, she had great friends from great families. They always got together and they did stuff together. She would come to me and say, Dad, can we go? What'd I have to say?
No.
Why?
Couldn't afford
it. Everything's a financial decision. People think, well, Greg, you think about money too much. No, I don't anymore, but back then, that's all I could think of. Because I was thinking about where the rent was coming from. I was thinking about what I could do with my daughter that didn't cost anything. I would scrape up enough change, enough money to give to her so she could have that experience. But what did I lose? Time. Time I would never get back. So find your why. Find what drives you. One thing that drives me, I'm the most competitive guy you will ever find in your life. I cannot lose. If I'm playing my daughter in checkers when she was 19 years old, I had to beat her up. My wife used to get mad at me, and I said, listen, I'm helping. She's got to learn how to lose. I'm competitive. People that said, Greg, you're not going to make any money, okay, watch me. I have a brother that will not take this product, still. He's about 6'3", laying down or standing up. Will not take this product. Needs it worse than anything. It's not like there's something wrong with him. He chose to live the way that he lived. And now he's saying, well, maybe I should have got into this with you. Keep giving excuses. Whine or win? Which one are you going to choose, right? So you find your why. Everybody hits bottom in this business. In life. It doesn't matter what you're in. You're going to hit bottom. Everybody hits bottom. Everybody's bottom is different, correct? But the thing that winners do is they bounce back. Because you have two choices when you hit bottom. You know, I had people in my down there. There's a guy that's hit emerald. Now, hit emerald 2 separate times, not consecutive. But he was a platinum. And I talked to him. He's checked out now because I just choose not to talk to him much anymore. Right? It brings me down every time I'm ready to jump off that roof. And I said, Greg, I had so many people drop off authorship last week. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, how do you know that? He said, because I ran a report in my back office. You used to could do that. I don't know if you still can or not. He said, you ran a report to find out who quit. He said, yes. What do? I said, quit looking. It's not about those people that quit. And that's one of the toughest things about moving up in this business. You got to let people go. You got to let people go that are anchors to you, that drag you, that try to pull you down. They're that cinder block that, like it's tied to your leg and you go into the ocean. Yes. Those people will drag you down if you allow them to. You got to let people go. When God tries to take somebody out of your life, let him work.
Come on, bro.
It's going to happen. So losers, what they do. Winners, they bounce. They bounce back. Not almost to the point where they were before, but it gives them momentum to keep going, right? And what makes them do that? That's vision. Having vision for where you want to go. Too many people look at your circumstances or where you're in right now instead of looking ahead 10 to 20 years and thinking about where you could be if you make the right decisions. It's about vision. I did a video on Facebook not too long ago. And we talked about having the vision to keep going. And I liken it to a marathon runner, right? Or when I run on the treadmill, I'm nowhere near a marathon, and I won't be. If I run for a marathon, there's somebody big chasing me for a long time, right? But I'm on the treadmill, and I'm getting close to 5K, and my legs are dead. Am I looking to that 5K end, or am I looking at my hurting legs? I look at my hurting legs, I'm going to quit. If I look to that finish line, I'm going to keep going. It's just like a marathon runner. You think about the Olympics. They're going through the Olympics. They train like crazy. They start the race. They're running like crazy. They get 13.1 miles into it halfway. They start to break down. Their body's tired. Their mind's tired. Their mind's telling them, I can't do anymore. But then they keep going. And then when they enter that arena again, where they have 1 or 2 laps left, and there's a group of 5 people, they were dog tired at 13.1 miles, but now they enter it, they see the finish line, what happens? It's an all-out sprint. There is always something left in the tank. So are you going to bounce or are you going to splatter? Those people that splatter, they turn to glue and they stick to the bottom. And it takes a lot of scraping from other people around you to get them off the bottom. How many people do you know that'll do that for you? If they'll do that for you, you better get them in this business. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with, right? So what you have to look at finally, before we go into system, is are you committed? Because it does not matter. Well, I put this in there. We did this training 3 years ago. It doesn't matter what system you follow. It don't matter how correctly you do things if you're not committed. And I'm talking about a true commitment. I'm not talking about just saying, yeah, Greg, I'm committed. Yes, sir. Whatever. Are you all in or not? Are you all in or not? Got a great story at the end of this. But I think I want to show you what a real commitment is. What a real commitment looks like. And why I thought about doing this today is because I was looking on Facebook and I saw the blizzard going on in Washington, D.C. You know what still happened? So, to guard the tomb of the unknown soldier, there's tons of things that you have to adhere to. First of all, there's physical attributes that you have to adhere to before you're even considered. First of all, you have to be the height of 5'10" to 6'2". That knocks me out and that knocks Brandon out. So you have to be a certain height. You have to have a waistline of 30 inches or less before you're even considered. And you have to agree to a 2-year commitment of duty. How many of you have made a commitment to be here in Zija 2 years from now? That's what it's about. You can't just say, I'm just going to be here, and if things go right, I'll make it happen. Bull crap. That'll be the first person, as soon as you run into a wall, you're going to peel off of it and run home. Commit right now. Chris Estes used to go around, and Brandon will remember this, commit to 1 year from now. Then we said, no, commit to 2 years. I say commit until it happens. Who cares if it takes you 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to create a 6-figure residual income that continues to roll in whether you roll out of bed or not? Who cares? As long as it happens, right? So be committed until. These guys are committed to a 2-year commitment of duty. Number 2, speak to no one for the first 6 months of duty. That knocks my wife out. I can say it when I'm in Tampa. Number 3, you have to watch no TV for the first 6 months of duty. Knocks out a lot of people I know. How committed are you?
Got that? No TV.
Number 4, spend all your off-duty time memorizing the names, etc., of 175 distinguished people in that cemetery, in Arlington National Cemetery. How committed are you? Spend 5 hours a day cleaning your uniform. After you spend that 5 hours a day, you check for no wrinkles, folds, or lint on the uniform. How committed are you? Number 7, live in the barracks below the tomb for 2 years. How committed are you? Number 8, you... Man, I just had a flood of names rushed in. Never curse in public for the rest of their lives. Now, we talked about a 2-year commitment. Now we're talking about a lifetime commitment. Right? Another group of people, but really the same ones. Never drink alcohol on or off duty for the rest of your life.
Wow.
How committed are you? Number 10, never disgrace a uniform or the tomb for the rest of their lives. Now they've made a lifetime commitment to what they're doing. Because when they get finished, what they get is a wreath pin. They get to wear. They wear it with pride every single day. They do one of those things, that gets given back. Now think about the commitment that they have. What was the hurricane that went through Washington, D.C.? Sandy? It's Hurricane Sandy? Hurricane Sandy was coming through, and of course the politicians cut and ran town, left town, right? Told them they could leave. They said no. They considered it a privilege to guard the tomb of the unknown soldier. How many of you look at your business right now as something you have to do, or is it a privilege to get to do it? To share something that's absolutely amazing for people. To improve people's quality of life every single day. How many of you see that as a privilege? So what they did is they walked each time, forget the time of the shift, but they walked 21 steps in one direction, turned around, moved the gun from the shoulder away from the tomb, walked 21 steps in the other direction, turned around, and kept going no matter what. Everybody else left town, and they stayed to their commitment. How committed are you? Because like I said, you could be as systematic as you want to be. If you're not committed, it's not going to work for you. So there's a story of a guy, a tightrope walker, that lived in Canada, Western Canada. I take that back. He lived in New York. There was a promoter that heard about him because what he did, he was great at what he did, a high tightrope walker. He walked across a rope. He grabs a wheelbarrow, or he blindfolds himself first. Walks back across the rope, grabs a wheelbarrow, walks back across. So he's blindfolded with the wheelbarrow. So a guy in Canada, a promoter, hears about him, and he calls him. He says, "Tightrope, I don't think you can do this. I don't think you can, but there's going to be a lot of money if you can. We're going to walk across Niagara Falls from the American side to the Canadian side." He said, "I don't think you can do it." Tightrope said, "Yeah, I can." He said, "Well, okay, sign." They signed the paperwork. They started promoting, just huge. So they went to, the day came, they were going to walk across Niagara Falls from the American side to the Canadian side. So they're standing on the American side, the tightrope and the promoter. Tightrope walks across Niagara Falls, no problem whatsoever. He has a blindfold in his pocket. Pulls out a blindfold.